All right, it is day 2 of the nationwide protests in Nigeria. As usual, we've been bringing you live round-the-clock updates since they began yesterday through to today. We've been in Lagos. Arise News senior correspondent Tokunbo Oyetunji is standing by. Tokunbo, good morning to you. There is Tokunbo right there. We can see him. He's got his shades up. He is looking and observing what's happening. You saw the police vehicles right there. He was in, of course, Ojota yesterday. Earlier on in the day, there were a whole lot of people around there, big crowds, placards. You also had police officers. He gave us updates. Later on, it moved on. But now, he did say there could be day 2, and we just saw him right there. We'll get back to him in just a second. Now, moving over to Kano. Protesters burned and looted the Digital Innovation Park in Kano, the brainchild of Dr. Bosun Tijani and, of course, the ICT Digital Economy Ministry of Nigeria. And the building, which was intended to house different tech programs for young people and assist the Technical Talent Accelerator called 3MTT, sustained significant damage that cost millions of naira in losses. Here is how the minister himself described it in a tweet or X, which he posted yesterday, saying, sad to learn that our Digital Innovation Park in Kano, slated for launch next week to support our Technical Talent Accelerator, has been set ablaze and looted by protesters. Alongside 3MTT, this building is set to host our Build-a-thon holiday making program to secondary school kids starting next week, a significant setback for our journey. No, actually, a slight setback for our journey to deepening our workforce for technology while creating job opportunities. And then that ominous last sentence, millions of naira down the drain. We've got our fintech CEO with us in the studio, Uzoma Dozie. He's the CEO, of course, of Sparkle. Uzoma, good morning to you. Good to have you again.
Thank you for having me.
Last time we had you were in San Francisco, so good to have you in the
Thank
flesh
you.
here in Nigeria. Look, what I guess when it's starting with a global, or rather nationwide overview, what have you made of the protests and the cost of living crisis in Nigeria and everything?
I mean, look, I think lots of Nigerians are angry, and I think they're just voicing their frustration. I think, like had been said, everyone has a right to protest as long as you do not infringe other people's rights. But clearly, this is a reflection of just the economic situation in Nigeria. And like in any country or any country in the world, you cannot have economic prosperity without social development. So I think that's one area we need to look at, right? We have to look at that social infrastructure in Nigeria. How do we build it so that we can prevent this kind of thing happening? Because these are also disruptive to economic prosperity. Businesses have shut down for a couple of days, and this is the kind of thing that, and when you think that a huge percentage of the workforce in Nigeria relies on day-to-day, right, income generation, this worsens the situation. So I think it's a clarion call, right, to our leadership to start looking at how do we prevent this from happening. And some of the good work that they have done, that building of that the NCC building that was destroyed. When you think at it why was it done? Because people don't see the connection between their livelihood and the future and that building. You don't destroy what is valuable to you, and this is not valuable to them. So we need to do better. And
so, okay, you're referring, of course, to the innovation park, yeah, the hub. So, I mean, look, so I wanted to get your thoughts on what you think of the vandalism. How do we make that connection? How do we let these? Because you saw them carrying chairs and just taking stuff out there. Is it an education thing, or?
It is an education thing, but it's also, I think it's a leadership. How do I put this? And I go back to that theme of social infrastructure.
Yeah.
Now, especially when you have a country where millions of Nigerians, in fact, a lot of Nigerians are under are poor. So, and what countries normally do over the world is that you have now social services and social benefits.
Right.
But the distribution of that in Nigeria is a challenge because we don't have that infrastructure. The question is now, how do we do that? And I think that's where technology comes into play, and we have to look at it from a technology perspective.
Yeah.
Because today, typically, if I went to disburse 100 million cash in a village somewhere, it's probably going to cost me 300 million, moving the vehicles, security, and everything.
Good point.
Now, you do that every time. So why don't you invest in the infrastructure? So we talk about roads, but we need to start thinking about digital roads, digital liquidity, devices to people. Now, if I gave every person a device so that we can now provide the services and your identity, you won't be destroying that building because you see the connection with your livelihood with that building.
Gotcha. Now, as far as the states, I've been trying to make a conversation around decentralizing this down to the states. So because that's obviously in Kano. The Kano has a governor, they've got a legislature and all that good stuff. So should the states, or how much responsibility should the states be taking in trying to,
I think right down to local government, right down to local government, the key thing is that social infrastructure, right? The key thing is education, feeding, and health. How do you dissipate that? How do you dissipate that? So I think every local government, every state has it, because government can't solve that problem. Right? So you need, government sets the direction, creates the enabling environment, the policies, the legislation that empowers these subnationals to now actually do that. I mean, there's great opportunity. I mean, I always say Nigeria is sweet because there's plenty of problems, plenty of opportunity.
To solve them.
And you don't need government to actually bring the money. You just need government to come up with policies that will create trust and transparency, and so people will come into the country. Look, you have a nation that you have 66% penetration of smartphones, not enough. You need 100%. That means you need devices. That means you need people to come and manufacture. So who wouldn't want to come and manufacture phones in an environment that allows them to profit but also make an impact?
Uzoma, look, when we were talking, I was going to ask you about remote work and how, because we're talking about the disruption of businesses. You're an advocate for remote work. How do you see it playing into a situation like this?
No, I think remote work is good, but I don't think 100% remote is effective because I think human beings are social animals, and you need to connect into the culture of the organization, and also I think human beings and connect. So, but in times like this is where there's business continuity from because people will need, as you saw the commerce is going on. People are making payments now. I don't know if they're cash payments or
mostly cash
or electronic payments. But so it's important, and I think since COVID, we've seen how it was very important that you must have remote alternatives to not just financial services, but education, education and other types of services that business needs. And I think it's going to get. I think my concern now is that people are not relying too much now on remote working and forgetting that there has to be a balance, and everything in life is about balance.
If it scales too much, what happens to all the commercial buildings, office buildings that are?
I mean, I think there's always going to be innovation and creativity. Today, if you look at banks today, I mean, before, when you walked into a bank, when I started banking 20 years ago, when you walked into a bank, what you saw was the big banking hall. Banking halls constituted about 80% of the building.
Wow.
Today, now, it's more about discussions and conversations. So I think those spaces will create an opportunity for education, for new things, for social interaction, and then if we're lucky, we might see a drop in prices, which is good for the economy at large.
Look, the whole matter of scaling tech across the country, the infrastructure needed. I know there's a cost of living crisis going on. The whole talk about government expenses. How do you see us being able to scale across the country?
I think it's important. We need to embrace tech, and we need to look at it from a different paradigm shift. When people talk about digital, right, they think it's just like, scanning. Like if you have a document and then you not scan it, that's not scanning.
Yeah.
The digital actually is about also changing your business process and your thought profile. So let's just take banking. That's where my area, financial services.
Yeah.
What does technology do? It redefines the risk, and banking is about risk taking, right? So with technology, with infusion of technology, from going from physical to digital, my operational risk drops.
During protests like this?
Yeah, completely drops.
Yeah.
My financial risk increases, but that is where we make money, from financial risk.
Right.
But what raises its ugly head is cyber risk, which is what we're seeing now.
Right.
So take education. So like scaling, look, how many schools do we have? I think last thing I read, we have about 120,000 primary schools, 270 universities, and I can't remember how many secondary schools, but certainly not enough for a 220 million population country where 73% are below the age of 30.
Yeah.
And so how many schools do you need to build? Right? How much is it going to cost you for the school?
Exactly.
How long are they going to take it? Where are you going to get the teachers from with this JAPA syndrome?
Yeah.
But we have to start thinking of hub and spoke to start off with. So like the centers that we saw in Kano.
Yeah.
So where it's okay. And it's the same as just distribution. How do I empower children with devices, and how can I distribute remote learning, especially as curriculum that changes. Half of the stuff that is being taught in schools today are completely irrelevant.
You've preempted my next question.
Yeah,
Completely
irrelevant. So we are mobile. We're now with remote working, with especially people not having addresses. We're actually a mobile and agile country, and so we need technology. Technology is the only thing that's going to actually help you scale cost effectively, right, and dynamically over a shorter period. How long does it take to build a school? How long does it take to set up a cloud business? Fractions of time. A school, and I was doing some analysis, and I said, okay, 1 million people, 1 million children, how much is it going to cost, right? From a school, from building and taking 1,000 people per school, you're looking at about 1.5 trillion.
Wow.
Technology, from a technology perspective, you're looking at about a fraction of that, right? But because we're going through a transition, that's not realistic. It's not either or. It's a hybrid model where you have centers that people can lock into, and you can have that one-on-one, just like you do with hybrid working and also remote learning, so that when you have disruptions like this, education continues.
Right.
People are still earning a living, and the country is still working. Today, we just have complete stoppage of everything.
I want to quickly get your thoughts on another matter that came up. The Competition Commission, the FCCPC, and Meta over the threat of this 220 million fine, WhatsApp saying they might exit. Look, I'm using WhatsApp now to talk to my team in my production room. WhatsApp, we all know how important WhatsApp is. And FCCPC put out a tweet talking about, the whole incident. Let me quickly read this. WhatsApp claimed that it may be forced to exit Nigeria is a strategic move aimed at influencing public opinion. The FCCP investigated Meta platforms, and it talked about them being in violation, that Meta parties engaged in multiple and repeated infringements of the rules in place. So the final order requires Meta parties to take steps to comply with Nigerian law, stop exploiting Nigerian consumers, change their practice to meet Nigerian standards, and respect consumer rights. FCCPC's actions are based on legitimate concerns about consumer protection and data privacy, and the order is a positive step towards a fair digital market in Nigeria. What do you make of the whole situation?
I mean, he who comes with equity must come with clean hands.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, I think Meta must be seen to be complying with the laws of Nigeria.
Yeah.
But also, our regulators must be fair in distribution of penalties. So there should be no sacred cows.
Right.
So what you do to the goose, you must do to the gander.
Right.
And so and that's what. So the question is, did Meta violate? Are these fines applicable? And are these fines applicable? And are there others who are doing the same that are escaping or not escaping? So it both boils down to trust and transparency, right? The more transparent our processes, our laws are, and the application of justice rules, then it makes it easier, because, this is not the first jurisdiction that Meta is, and these big fours are being seen to violate laws. So why should it be different in Nigeria?
Right.
It's just the application and the transparency of the whole process, which I think FCCPC is trying to portray.
But just to talk about. Okay, one second. Have patience. Everyone is sticking out. We're going to go to Port Harcourt. We continue to keep up with what's going on. Let's go to Port Harcourt right now. We have a police commissioner speaking right now.
For our cooperation that we had yesterday, I want to thank you for the cooperation I got from you yesterday. I cannot thank you enough. Today as well, I'm here to meet with you here and to let you know that so far so good. I'm saying thank you. Thank you. If you think we are going to come here and have confrontation with you, you have failed. If you think that is what is in your mind, then it will not happen. But at the same time, I want us to know that we don't want you to block the road. You can take, wait. You will stay here with you. Our jobs are to protect life and property. We will stay here with you. We protect you. Anywhere you want to go, we will go with you. So far, so good. I thank you so much. May Almighty God continue to be our guide. You guys have been so wonderful to us, whether we like it or not. You guys know your right and you stand by your right. You guys have been assisting the police. I have worked almost everywhere in this country. I have worked almost everywhere in the country, but the level of cooperation I get from you, I have not gotten anywhere. So I thank you so much for the cooperation, and I look forward to more. May Almighty God continue to be your guide. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you very much. 3 Boza for the CP. Boza. DJ,
Mr. President,
DJ, give us music.
some people who are still in detention as a result of the NSAS protest. They were young people who were protesting for freedom and for democracy. Any young protester in Nigeria today learn from you, because you were the father of protest in Nigeria. Do something about it.
Okay, Uzoma, that was peaceful. That was camaraderie. That was, I mean, you saw the police telling him, look, we're with you. Well, what do you make of that? That's what we got to see more of that, right? That's what we want to see.
We have to see, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like about transparency. So, like, you have to be seen to be doing what you're supposed to do, which is protecting the people. And that just also prevents, the mischief and the violence that we're actually seeing.
Yeah. There was a point he looked up, I think it was a helicopter, but in my mind, I thought it was a drone. Just on the insecurity side, can we talk about how technology can improve Nigeria's fight against insecurity? I thought it was a drone flying over, but I think it was a helicopter. That's something we need to invest in, yeah?
Well, definitely. I mean, like, if you look at places like the UK, they have probably more cameras than
people.
Than people.
Yeah.
And that is, but policing is not about catching people. It's about preventing, for people knowing that the cost of crime is so high. But in Nigeria today, I'm going back to this. The reason why you see all these violence is that people feel, first of all, they know that you don't know who they are.
Right.
The identity, we have an identity issue.
Yeah.
We have an identity issue, but if you know who you are and if you can be seen and connected,
you can target them and round them up.
It becomes harder for them to do it. They say, okay, what is the gain here? Today, the cost of being violent is so low. You're not going to catch me.
Right.
The guys that looted that building,
Kano,
they've taken it. It's gone.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're going to get some money for it. What was the cost? Minimal.
Gotcha. Uzoma Dozie, I see you, Sparkle. Thank you so much for your patience. We appreciate you coming to talk about technology, education, remote work, insecurity. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.